Business where you are in business for yourself, but not by yourself. A business where you're judged not according to your color or your race or your religion or your age or your sex or whether you're overweight or underweight or any of these things, but a business where you're judged on the performance that you provide. Truly are in a business that is a business democracy in so many ways. We look at you and you begin your career, and as you develop your career, and as you build for yourself an outstanding career over a period of time, we look at you basically according to three things. First, obviously, we're concerned about your ability. We want to know that not only do you have ability that you are using, but that you have a lot of latent ability that can be developed so that you can be even more productive. But we're concerned about some things that are even more important in our judgment than just ability. For instance, we're concerned about your integrity. You see, this is one of those character situations that is so vitally important. We believe that you can't build a good business with bad people. We don't believe that you can take a situation and place an undependable person in the situation and have them perform effectively unless they've got the basic integrity that is so essential for success. And to go along with integrity, we believe that a person must be loyal to what they're doing. We believe, yes, that you must be loyal. Now let me emphasize in the very beginning that we will compromise on this thing called ability. Because if a person has an overwhelming desire for success, if they're willing to pay the price, then they can compensate for any lack of ability or any lack of education or anything of this nature. But we will not compromise on integrity, and we will not compromise on loyalty. When I think of loyalty, when I think of getting involved in something, I always like to think of getting involved in something bigger than we are. I love the story of Pat Matzdorf, for instance. Pat is the man who recently set the world record for the high jump. He cleared the bar at 7 feet, 6 3/4 inches. He was in a dual meet in competition with the Russians. It was an international situation, and it was critically important that we win the high jump. Now, the interesting thing about Pat Matzdorf is that just 2 months earlier, in an NCAA meet, he had missed the bar at just 6 feet 10 inches. And here he is, 2 months later, clearing the bar at 7 feet 6 3/4 inches. And so one of the reporters came up to him when it was all over and said, "Pat, how do you account for the fact that just 2 months ago you were beaten? As a matter of fact, you placed 5th in competition. And today, not only do you win, but you set a world record. Today you jumped more than 4 inches higher than you've ever jumped in your entire lifetime. How do you account for it?" And Pat Matzdorf, this fine young American boy, looked down at his chest and said, "This is what did it." And across his chest were written the words, USA. And Pat looked that reporter dead center and said simply, "I never represented anything this big before. Today, I was representing my country." And you see, this is what I'm talking about when I say we need to get involved in something bigger than we are. We need to have a feeling of loyalty. Because in reality, you see, we are all on a ship together. We are involved with a lot of other people. You're involved with the company. You're involved with consultants and distributors and executive distributors. And the success of everyone in this business will help you to become even more successful. And yes, your own particular success will be reflected and looked at, and others will say, "Well, gee, if she can do it, then I too can do it." And so these other people will become successful because they are watching you and listening to you and observing you and watching the things that you do to become successful. You see, in effect, what you need to do if you're going to be successful is you need to become a flea trainer. Now let me explain what a flea trainer is. A flea trainer is a person who is driven from within. A flea trainer is a person who makes some basic decisions for themselves, and then they act on those decisions. They're driven by positive motivations. Now, maybe I can clarify this just a little bit if I explain to you how you train fleas in the beginning or in the process. You see, you train fleas by putting them in a jar. Now, fleas will jump. They'll jump up and they'll hit the top over and over and over and over and over. You watch those fleas jump for a long time, and all of a sudden you'll notice something rather interesting happening, because as they jump up, all of a sudden they no longer hit the top. They continue to jump, but they don't hit the top anymore. And then it's a matter of record that you can take the top off. And those fleas will keep right on jumping, but they cannot jump out. And the reason they cannot jump out is because they have conditioned themselves to jump just so high. And once they've conditioned themselves to jump just so high, this is as high as they can jump. And this is the way people are. You see, a lot of people start out in life to do a lot of things, but along the way they bump their heads, they stub their toes, and they become what I call a snot-op. That's spelled S-N-I-O-P. This is a person who is susceptible to the negative influence of other people. And what I'm saying here to you in this business democracy, you get your start as you learn to jump out of the jar, as you're driven from within. Not only will you be more effective as an individual, not only will you be happier and more successful personally, but you will set the example that an awful lot of other people will be looking at, and they too will say, well, gee, that girl is a flea trainer, and I too am going to be a flea trainer. I'm going to do an awful lot more. Let's take a look, if you will, at this preview of prosperity as to where we start and where we go. To begin with, I think it's critically important that you as a consultant and you as a distributor learn and establish the basic principles of success in the field of selling. We are proud of what we've got in the product line. When you're proud of it, and when you understand that we do offer a tremendous buy, a tremendous bargain to the buying public, then you too will be excited about selling it, and hence you will sell an awful lot more. So let's establish this to begin with. Let's understand that we must sell this product. We must believe in this product. We must love this product. And as we learn to sell and date these parties, we can and will establish the foundation for success that is critically important. We begin to build our own customer list, as we begin to develop our sales procedures and techniques, as we get wrapped up in what we're doing, then the second phase will take place in building our career. And as we get into this area, becoming even more successful, more enthusiastic, believing more completely in what we're doing, then other people are going to say to us, hey, how do I get involved in what you're doing? You seem like you love your work. You seem like you're having a lot of fun, and I believe you're making some money. So I want to get involved in that. And here is where we begin to build, because now we start recruiting other consultants into this business. Here we then begin to recruit other distributors. People are attracted to optimistic, enthusiastic, and happy people, and they love to be where the action is. They want to be with successful people, and as you exude this success to them, then they're going to want to become a part of you. And so you attract these people to you. In short, you become a recruiter as you begin to build your business. And then once you have learned how to do this, once people are attracted to you, then obviously we get into the field of training. And when we start training other consultants and distributors, this is where our own successful experience will come in so handy. We can now say to them, this is the way you do it, but more importantly, we are now qualified to take that person out and show them exactly what we're talking about. And the fourth phase that we now getting to is really tied to the third, because you see, as you begin to train people, then you obviously also begin to build people. You don't just teach them how to say some words and do some things, but you teach them and build them into more effective, more productive human beings. As you build people, you see, there's no way you can help but build your career. And I want to tell you something here that you will discover for yourself a little bit later on. Oh, you'll be happy and enthusiastic about your own personal success, but that in no way compares to the happiness and excitement and joy that you will have of building other people and giving them an opportunity to grow. Let me emphasize that this is the greatest reward that you will get. And I almost don't care how much money you make and how much financial success you achieve. You see, it's an interesting thing that as you begin to build people, you grow so much more yourself. It's exciting, the whole concept. I'd like to tell you a story which I think emphasizes a whole lot of what I'm talking about. A number of years ago in New York City, a balloon salesman was selling balloons. And when business would get a little bit slow, he would release one of the balloons, perhaps a white one. And as this balloon would go up, the crowd would gather again as they'd watch the balloon go up, and they would buy more of his balloons. Business would boom. As business would slow down again, he would release another one, perhaps a red one, and the same thing happened again. Business boomed. A little bit later, he would release another one, perhaps this time a yellow one, and again business would boom. A little Negro boy had been watching all of this with a great deal of interest. And so he came up to the man and pulled on his coat sleeve and looked at him with his soulful eyes and said, "Mister, if you released one of those black balloons, would it go up?" And the man, with a wisdom that you simply would not expect to find in one whose occupation is so humble, said, "Son, it's what's inside of those balloons that make them go up." And I would suggest to you that it's what's inside of you that's going to make you go up. See, it is in your own hands. Your success is up to you. And we believe totally and completely that inside of you there is that potential for greatness. We believe that you can excel. And in the process of growing and building and developing, and in the process of participating in this training program itself, we have now taken something away from you. Now let me emphasize that what we have taken away from you is simply this. You see, a lot of people in the ball game of life have what we call the loser's limp. Now I'm sure you know what the loser's limp is. You see it at the football games. You see the offensive player sneak behind or slip behind the defensive player. He reaches up, catches a pass, and streaks for the end zone. Now when he gets about 20 yards from the end zone, the defensive man has recovered and is in hot pursuit. But that defensive man knows that there is no way that he's going to be able to catch that guy with a ball. And so, since he knows he's not going to catch him, and since he knows everybody in the stands knows that he's not going to catch him, an interesting phenomena occurs. The defensive man pulls up limping. And you see, then everybody in the stand says, "Well, look, no wonder the poor guy couldn't catch him. He's crippled." You see, he developed what we call a loser's limp. And in the ball game of life, a lot of people develop loser's limps. I don't have enough education. I'm from the wrong side of town. I'm too old. I'm too young. Or I'm a boy. Or I'm a girl. And then they put a lot of things out. A lot of people say the color of my skin is wrong. I have the wrong religious beliefs. Or I'm in the wrong religion. Or they say, they list 101 different loser's limps. Let me tell you, one of the most popular loser's limps, and this is the one that I have taken away from you. You see, a lot of people say, "I never accomplished much because I never had an opportunity." Well, let me tell you something. If that's been yours, it's now gone forever. You do have that opportunity. And you have a company and a people who are interested in your success. Yes, that loser's limp is gone forever because the opportunity now is yours. The only question is, what are you going to do with the opportunity?